Every headline you see is a smokescreen distracting from the atrocities you heard about yesterday. You are being gaslit by a system designed to keep you blind. Welcome to Political Malpractice. Open your eyes, see the frauds behind the curtain, dismantle the illusion.
And welcome back to Political Malpractice. It is I, Sasha, the hostess with the mostest, the lunatic liberal, along with Chris. You guys don't have like a lefty libertarian, licentious libertarian. You guys don't have a bad nickname from Trump, do you?
No, the kind of libertarian independence, that's actually true. I didn't even think about that, but he doesn't have a name for us. You
No.
know what? It might be because he's most scared of us.
I I don't know. I think it's either he thinks that you automatically default to him because he thinks that he is such the populist and he's not. So I think he
No.
thinks that maybe you guys automatically default to him or your numbers are so insignificant you don't matter, which
Well, that's
isn't
true.
true either. It's not insignificant.
That's true. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people in the middle. You're going to have your so-called classical liberals, who are, fairly left in a lot of different ways. And then you're going to have your libertarians. So, you get kind of both from, you get people from both political sides kind of coming together. I mean, I'm meeting lots of amazing people who are just kind of like in the center, especially since, I've made it more well known that's kind of where my stance is now. And yeah, I mean, because it's been so easy for me to meet all sorts of other people that kind of like share a lot of my same values. I'm kind of figuring if it was this easy, there must be a lot of us out there.
Yeah. I I think that libertarian I think that MAGA folk who jump ship once they realize that the captain is batshit crazy, I think that they're going to land in the Libertarian Party because I think they still believe that Democrats are too radical. I don't
Hmm.
think that that Kool-Aid is out of their system. Um, so I think that's where they're going to end up going, which would be nice because that gives us a three-party system.
That's true.
Honestly, if
That's
enough
true.
if enough Republicans deflect and jump into the libertarian pool, that just might give us a good three-party system, and then we've got some good balance.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So yeah,
So,
for sure.
we have a couple of, reasons for maggots to be proud of our country. And these are the yay, be proud you voted for this man. The UN has officially named Trump as a racist whose hate speech has caused grave human rights violations. Trump did the seventh grade, I didn't break up with you, you broke up with me,
Yes.
Truth Social post.
I
He
know.
begged NATO to help him. NATO said no. And then it was basically, I never asked you for your help. I don't need your help anyways. I'm never going to ask you for your help. Like, bro, we passed that phase like with our first boyfriend girlfriend relationship in junior high. He is
I am.
severely emotionally stunted, along with everything else that is
Oh
wrong
my
with this
god,
man.
we were. I was talking about like social media posts and stuff like that that I like had made and everything, and yeah, that was another one that I talked about. Was him just being emotionally stunted. It's like and I had that friend, or I had that conversation with my friend that we were talking about before the show started, and I was just like, this dude is like, nothing against teenage girls or nothing against women in general, but I was like, this dude's like a fucking teenage
Mhm,
girl.
mhm. Yeah, he acts like a spoiled brat teenage girl. He honestly does.
Yeah.
Um, ICE is incentivized to not treat migrants detained in detention centers.
Mm,
So they set aside, let's say, $1 million, right? This is the money to treat people that are detained for medical treatment or whatever. Um, Spend it or keep it. So if they don't spend it on medical treatment, it's not like they get less in the budget next year, because typically that's how budgets work.
right.
A department of whatever, the government, a business, whatever, is given X amount of dollars for this year. If you don't spend all of that money, then you're given less the next year. Or if you go into the red and you spend too much, you're given more the next year.
Right.
Um, ICE is just given a flat amount of money. Here's the money for medical treatment. And if you don't spend it, you get to keep it. Who knows where the fuck it's going? But it has resulted in a 700% profit increase for these private prisons that are being paid to take care of immigrants, which
Well,
is bullshit.
I mean, still in general, I mean, my opinion hasn't changed on the fact that I am fine with deporting people who aren't supposed to be here just because they aren't here legally. That said, this is disgusting to me because I'm just simply saying that I don't think they should be here, or at least they should have gone through the proper channels to get here. That's all I'm saying. But I am not in favor of mistreating these people and violating their human rights.
Hmm.
I mean, even if you are going to put them in some sort of detention facility, I actually almost want that to be like the fucking, Ritz Carlton or something. I mean, I really do, because it's like,
It,
make this shit, don't punish these people because they were probably desperate to come here. And I totally understand that. So there is no reason to punish them in this way. If you're going to detain them, treat them with the utmost respect and care that you could possibly give
exactly.
them. But that's not what we're doing.
Here's what I equate it to, right? When we went into Iraq and Afghanistan, we bombed like crazy, we killed like crazy, we hurt fathers in front of their sons. And that's a key component here. We hurt fathers in front of their sons, right? These children that are being detained in the detention centers are seeing the exact same thing. We are hurting
Yeah.
and killing their fathers in front of the sons. All that does is create an entire fucking generation that hates America and wants to
Right.
destroy America. Now, we did that in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that's half a world away. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not giving it an excuse. I'm just saying that the immediacy of the danger is a half a world away. Now,
Right.
we're creating this on our own fucking continent. You might
Yeah.
deport them to Brazil, but guess what? There's land connection. These little boys now hate us because they see the horrible things that we're doing to their fathers. We are brewing a threat. We are growing and brewing a threat here in our own country. And
I
that's what it's
think
going to equate to.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's totally fair because, I mean, like I said, there is a humanitarian way of handling this, which is what I'm in favor
Hmm.
of. And then there's the asshole way of handling this.
Yeah.
And Trump has opted for the asshole way of handling
Yeah.
it. And yeah, I just, I can't, yeah, I can't support that. And of course, the private prison profit thing is being up 700% when I saw that. And I double checked it. I was like, oh my
Hmm.
God. And anyway, I was just kind of like, this is insane. I mean, first of all, I don't agree with the idea of a private prison anyway. You
Nope.
know, um, I just don't. I mean, prison is supposed to be something that the government is able to impose upon you, which and it
Yeah,
should be the government that provides everything. It shouldn't be a money-making scheme. I mean, ugh.
exactly. Exactly. I am not pro prison anyways. It does nothing. If someone has a life sentence, you know, it I think if somebody is sentenced to life in jail because they killed someone, they still have their entire life, right? People who are absolutely 100% mentally healthy and happy and satisfied with their life and they had a perfect childhood, those people very rarely kill. So if you have someone in jail because they killed somebody, their life was shit before they got there. They deserve, because they're human, some mental health care. They deserve therapy. They deserve to be treated like they're humans, with some nod being given to the fact that you were born to a shit family. And that's part of the reason why you're here, you know? Um, if you're in jail for 5 years, if you're in jail for 5 years, what do you think is going to happen when we don't make sure that you receive education, that you receive job training, when we don't make sure that you're treated like a human for those 5 years? Because when you come out, finding a job is going to be hard. So you need
Mhm.
to be given skills. You need to be taught skills so that you can go out and create your own job. Several years ago, I was friends with a guy who had been in jail for a significant amount of time. I
Mhm.
I don't know the exact time. I don't remember it, but I think it was something like 10 years. Like he was in jail for a long freaking time.
Mhm.
And uh, that's how we got friends. I saw him on social media. He now had a business and would talk about his past in jail. So we started chit chatting because I wanted to understand the psychology behind him. What
Yeah.
set him apart from other people that go to jail and, just recommit crimes, and then they start this cycle where they're constantly going back and back and back. And he was a black man, so it's not like the difference was skin color, right? It's not like he was a white guy that had gone to jail and then came out and had
Sure.
the privilege of being white, so people would forgive the fact that he was in jail. Um, and
Which
he said,
actually doesn't really even happen that much either because I've known
it
plenty of
doesn't
white
happen that
people.
it
Yeah.
doesn't happen that much, but
Yeah.
it happens more, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure it
So
does. I'm sure it does.
he said that before he went to jail, he had been a hustler anyways, coming up with business ideas, ways to make money. Went to jail. Because of that mindset, he was very involved in phone buying and selling and smuggling and all that in jail. So that kind of gave him the understanding of business and how business works. And
Yeah.
when he got out, he just kept in that mindset. Good for him that he took some really bad lessons in life and turned them into a profit, right? Because
Sure.
now he
Oh,
has a phone business. He is one of the people who goes and stocks all the gas stations with his branded iPhone chargers, car plugs so you can plug in your iPhone, car mounts, things like that that you see for sale at the gas stations. Um,
sure.
Prisons need to turn this guy's life basically into, let's give these guys some business sense. Right? If
Sure.
they're here for drugs or gang activity, clearly they understand organizational hierarchy. Like they
Yeah.
get that. That's the hard part already. Now let's show them how to do these things right so that they can benefit. But anyways,
Yeah,
that's way off topic.
no, but I like that. No, I like that as far as, like, the prisons because, I mean, we are touching on the thing about private prisons and stuff like that, and I
Mhm.
don't think that there's that incentivization to do that sort of thing with a private, prison,
No,
which
it's
is
going to
one
cost them
reason.
money.
Right, which is one reason that I, have a problem with them. I'm with you. I mean, I would like, the life sentence person. Okay, I could see not investing quite that much amount of time in them because they're never going to go back into society. But as far as like rehabilitation, so to speak, if that makes sense, I mean, what I'm saying is like, why give them job skills? Because it's like
It
they're never going to use it.
the the people that are in prison for life, though, if you give them a college education, right? Like you're going to get an English degree or something because you're sitting here, you might as well freaking do it anyways. Give them the skills to get that education and then use them. They're there for life. Use them to be the GE teachers for all of the other prison inmates. You know what I'm saying? Give
Oh,
them a
okay. All right.
purpose.
No, that all right. That
If
makes sense. That
people
makes sense. That
if
makes
people
sense.
in prison have a purpose, then things will just be better. The levels
Oh,
of violence in prison will be less.
for sure. But back to my main topic, that was just kind of like off the because I just couldn't. It's like having a hard time thinking why you would invest that level into someone who's going to be there for life. But what you said makes sense, so I get it. Okay. Um,
Ultimately, it saves money.
right, right. But definitely I am all for rehabilitating people who are especially
Mhm.
going to be there for 5, 10 years. My goodness, why wouldn't we want to invest that sort of
Yep.
uh energy into them, and turn them into honest people as opposed to what they had been before. So yeah, and so therefore, it goes to the private prison thing. I mean, seeing that they're making a whole bunch of money off of this and everything, and knowing that they're not doing jack shit to really help anybody,
Yep.
that's where this whole
Exactly.
conversation makes sense.
And private prisons make me sick. They just make me sick. I think I mentioned them in the fraud section of this agenda.
Mm.
Um, we did talk last week about the 33 January Sixers who were rearrested for child sex
Oh,
abuse offenses,
yeah, I was curious about that. Yeah.
and I did a little bit of digging. So 33% or 33 of 1,500 is about 2.2%. So about 2.2% of the January Sixers so far are pedophiles, right? The general understanding, because it's so hard to catch pedophiles, especially when you have 6 million files that outline the crimes that they've done, that name names, but it's still really hard to catch these people and put them in
Right.
jail. The estimate is that 1 to 5% of the population are pedophiles and are engaged in pedophilia acts, right? So the 2.2% of January Sixers lands right in the middle of that estimate of people. So it is a good representation of the public. We took a chunk of public and there we go. So it's a good representation.
Yeah, the reason I was interested in that was because so many people had made such a big issue out of that, and I'll admit, even I had the jerk reaction that I was like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. They're a bunch of assholes and blah 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 blah. But as we were talking about it in the last show, it just kind of occurred to me. I was like, but you know what? Maybe this is unfair to actually be saying this because it's like maybe that's just representative of the population.
It, and it is. I mean, now that being said, right? Um, if we're looking at this kind of like a study, this was a large sampling of the white male population.
Right.
And I did a quick Google search before I opened my mouth and inserted my foot. Um, on the U.S. Sentencing Commission webpage, so ussc.gov, it says that 57.5% of sex offenders are white men.
Hmm.
So I think what we got was kind of like, you've got the pie graph of population and sex offenders. I think that the January Sixers were that little pop out zoom in that you get
Yeah.
of white folks, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Sounds fair.
but it was representative, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Wh-
Well, that
wh-
that was my thing. It just kind of occurred to me. I was like, well, maybe this is not a fair line of attack against the January 6th, I guess, is what I was getting at. Because I was like, well,
It's
this just
fair.
might be the way shit is.
It's fair. They
Yeah.
are a good representative of the general
Well, just meaning that,
pedophilia
yeah,
population.
yeah, for sure. But there, yeah. I don't know. Very interesting. Very interesting. But
So
yeah, go right ahead. Go right
one
ahead.
thing one thing I have not heard mentioned by Trump, and I say Trump because he is the president of the whole of the United States, even though he pretends like he's not, right? Um, Hawaii is dealing with its worst flooding in 20 years. We
Yes.
have 5,500 evacuations that have happened. And as of yesterday morning, I haven't seen anything that says otherwise, but as of yesterday morning, there's a dam that's 120 years old that's at risk for breaking because of this flooding.
Yeah. That's going to be
And
disastrous too. I looked that up. I was reading about that. That would be terrible.
yeah,
Oh my god,
like
horrific.
Hawaii is getting
Actually,
pummeled. I haven't heard this on any other news outlet. I saw it on Midas Touch. I don't know if it's anywhere else.
I did see stuff about it on Apple News. Now, I will say that I have taken the time to really curate Apple News, like hardcore, like giving it feedback
Mhm,
on what I care about and what I don't care about and stuff like that. And it actually did
mhm.
pop up on the thing about Hawaii. It was I think whatever the news major newspaper is from Honolulu, and
Okay.
and that's what I saw in Apple News. Yeah, so I did see
Which
something about it.
which, I mean, if it's a Honolulu paper that's talking about it, yeah, they're in the middle of it, right? Of course, they're gonna talk
Right,
about it. Um,
sure. Oh, but that's what I'm
but
saying. I
this
had to have a very carefully
yeah,
curated news feed in order to have seen this. Most people
mhm,
don't have that. Most people don't have that.
and Trump is so fucking selfish in his 7th grade 12-year-old hormonal girl era, not to speak ill of girls, but
I know. I was very careful about
that's
that
what
when
he's
I first said
doing.
it to him. Yeah.
It I raised a girl. Thankfully, the girl that I raised was very socially aware, so she never hit, like, her weird 12-year-old selfish phase. At 12 years old, she
Uh-huh.
was getting in fights with people because they were picking on younger people, so that's what
Uh,
I dealt with as a 12-year-old girl mom.
well,
But,
hey, that's cool.
and I just
At least she was
yeah.
fighting the good fight.
If you're gonna get in a fight, it better not be over something stupid. And her fights were never over something stupid. One of her main
Yeah.
ones, a couple of other girls were calling a younger black child Aunt Jemima. And she saw this little girl
Wow.
crying alone, asked her, "Why are you crying? What's wrong?" And she said, Mom, she's a nice girl. I see her around the school. She's nice. She's a grade younger than us, and she's just sitting all by herself crying. And she told me that on Snapchat, these other girls who happen to be white were calling her Aunt Jemima, and that made her cry. She's like, "So, I took off my sweatshirt. I headed beeline for the girl because we were going to get into it. And then we had to go to class. So the fight never happened. But
Yeah.
I made it very clear to these girls that you don't talk to someone like that. So, I mean, I
No.
didn't raise a 12-year-old selfish little crap.
All right. The other thing that you
Nebraska.
were talking about, because we were talking about Hawaii, but the other thing that
Hmm.
I was also interested in now, again, as I saw like a Honolulu newspaper reporting on the situation in Hawaii, likewise, the Kansas City Star did report on the situation in Nebraska. But that's because we're very
Okay.
close. It takes me
Right.
2 hours to get to Nebraska.
Right.
And so, anyway, I think that, as far as, like, seeing this as stuff in media and that sort of thing, I kind of thought about it and I was like, Hawaii's like way out in the middle of nowhere, so it's not in the public's, not at the front of their mind. Uh,
Right.
Places like Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, we're considered flyover country. No one cares about us. So, I mean, I think that, as far as like the public apathy towards these two things, it's because unfortunately, nothing against people on the coast, but I think our country has its head stuck up the East and West Coast ass way too much.
I don't disagree. I think that it's East Coast and West Coast versus Bible Belt. And if you're like lumped in the middle, up, you know, just dead center of the US, or way out in the ocean or up by Canada, I
Right.
think that for the large part, you are kind of forgotten about, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So I don't
And
disagree with that. I mean, I I personally never forget Kansas because I have lived there. I
right.
never forget um Mis- Missouri. I always mix up Missouri and Mississippi. I have to always think about Fort Leavenworth, Missouri. I have to think the
No, Fort
name in
Leavenworth,
order to remember
Kansas.
the
Fort
state.
Leavenworth, Kansas, but we're right next to it. Yes.
No,
Yes, in
yes.
Missouri.
Fort Leonard Wood is the other one in
Missouri.
Missouri.
Yes, Fort
Yes.
Leonard
So
Wood. Yes.
I went to basic training in Fort Leonard Wood. I ended up living in Fort Leavenworth. And the only thing I remember about Missouri and Kansas is tornadoes that are fucking terrifying. That's it. That's all I remember.
Well,
Fucking tornadoes.
just a fun fact for our audience. Yesterday, our high was 93 degrees. Today, our high is going to be 38 degrees.
But
Isn't
climate
that
change
precious?
isn't a thing. Well, climate
um,
change isn't a thing. Donald Trump
well,
said
no,
climate change isn't a thing.
that's very typical for us here. And actually, I do see a lot of people on the coast that when they will pay attention is they'll talk about like our crazy weather and act like there's something like
Mhm.
unique about it. It's like, no, 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 no. I mean, ever since I was a little kid and my
It
grandparents and great grandparents, it's always been this way.
Now, I didn't live there forever, but I was in each state. I don't know, Missouri, I was there 6 months, so that's really not too much to weigh, but Kansas, I was there over a year, and Kansas had crazy weather. It would change. If you don't like what the weather is right now, go inside for 5 minutes, come back out, and it's gonna be different. But it was never that different. It was
Yeah.
never that different. It would get, really hot in the summer, and then maybe it would, like, rain for 30 minutes, and it would be cooler the rest of the day. But to go from
Mm.
93 one day to 30, what did you say, 38, 39
At
the
38.
next?
Yeah, 38.
Yeah, that's not typical. That is
It's
not typical.
it's it's typical enough. Let's put it that way. That people here are not freaking out about it. Let's put it this way: it's not unheard of. Is it usual? No, our springs don't usually have these wild of swings back and forth. But
Right,
yeah, it is. But it's not unheard of. You know, it gets wild here because I remember when I was a kid, we had one day it was like up in the 80s, and then the next day we had an ice storm that knocked out our power for 2 weeks.
right.
you so the weather here is kind of
I don't
wild.
miss I don't miss living there. So, Chuck Norris is
yeah,
dead. Good riddance. He was cool until he became ultra maggot. And Robert Mueller is dead. So we've got two. Have we had a third that I haven't heard about yet? Because usually deaths
mm,
like this come in threes.
right, right. Gosh, now that you're mentioning that, I'm trying to think of any other major. I don't
I don't think
know.
I've heard of a
God,
third
I
yet,
mean,
just these 2.
I wish Kevin Sorbo was on there, but I don't
It I am so sad that he is such a disgusting human. I remember being
Yeah.
little and watching his, Hercules show and watching Lucy Lawless's Xena. Those were my 2 absolute favorite shows, and maybe
Well,
he's
hell
always
yeah,
been a shit
Lucy
human.
Lawless. I mean, what lesbian doesn't love that?
If only I had fucking known, right? Like, that would
Right?
have cooled me off, and a lot of my adult life would have been different. Um, what Trump, of course, did the typical Trump hate, right? So Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. Well, he didn't hurt innocent people. I mean, it's not like there are millions of pages of reports of little girls saying that Robert Mueller raped them. He
Right.
didn't hurt innocent people. So
W
I don't know.
well, I
There
mean
is nothing that will convince me that he is not demented.
I
Trump,
mean,
not Mueller.
as far as Mueller is concerned, I mean, I'm kinda neutral on him, but, I
Yeah.
certainly did yeah, I certainly did have, something to say, as far as, the bullshit that Trump said, and the typical response that I get because I still have a fairly large conservative following, and, which is starting to amaze me at this point, but I'm like, "Okay." But anyway, I'm just kind of, like, thinking, it's like, "This is just crazy, guys." This guy is, like, acting like a child, and then they'll come back and always say, "Oh, but Trump says it's how it is and whatever." I'm like,
Mhm.
"You know, no, he doesn't really."
It
To me, the whole thing is just stupid. It's like, my God, did we want to have a high school popularity contest for president? Is that what we wanted?
right, right. It I don't know. I'm at a loss with MAGA at this point. I don't understand how you could be so clueless, how you can lack total self-awareness and still function in life. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It I don't get it. So, well, I'm gonna use this to jump into what is this asshole's name? I don't know. I've got his name somewhere in here, but I'm not gonna dig for it. The He works for the Heritage Project, and
Oh, Project
this
2025?
yeah. So, what this guy has to
Yeah.
say about women
Yeah.
is wholly demonstrative of the MAGA
Uh-huh.
grouping.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Made not to recruit women into engineering, but rather to recruit and demand more of men who become engineers. Ditto for med school and the law and every trade.
That's Jen Hamilton. But he what do you mean, don't make an effort to recruit women into these things? Recruit men. I don't think I was able to I don't think I have the video, and I'll share it next week, um, of him saying that women are medicated, that, we are, social hags and stuff like that. It This man wrote Project 2025. He is one of the brains that is behind the SAVE Act. He stands up there with the men that are in support of repealing the 19th Amendment, and MAGA women still vote for this shit.
Well, so I understand
Explain it
that
to
it's
me like
hard
I'm
for
5.
okay, I am going to explain it to you like you're 5 because I know how these people operate. Okay, here's the thing. You are a sane person, and you understand that as a sane person, you deserve rights. as any other human being deserves as well. And our rights should be equal. So you get that. There are a huge swath of conservative women who believe that the problems that we are facing in our society today are because they were allowed to step outside of their biblical roles. There are many conservative women who actually do support repealing women's right to vote. That is why they continue voting. Because here's the thing. I know in your mind, it's like, oh my God, why would you vote against your own interests like that? I understand. Again, you're a sane person. But with them, that's not how they see it at all. That is voting in their interests because to them, they do want to be subservient to men because they think we should have learned our lesson and or that women should have learned their lesson and put back in the rightful positions that they're supposed to be in. That's how they see it.
And maybe I don't understand, right? Like, you can be subservient. If you think that Jesus told you that your own welfare doesn't matter, that you have no agency, if you think that that's what your God has told you, you can behave as such.
Right.
Don't tell me I can't. He's not my
Right.
God. Fuck
True.
you. He is
Right.
not my God. You know, you and your Jesus can go sit and not vote. That's fine. I'm not going to cry that you're not voting. I'm not going to cry that, like that Duggar mom, you're popping out so many babies that eventually your cervix just can't handle the weight and you start dropping them left, right, and center because
Right.
you've overused it. You know, that is your prerogative. I don't care what you do with your body. I don't care what you do in your life. Don't tell me what to do in mine, you know? But damn
Yeah.
straight, I am going to continue to fight so that when you're 80 years old and you realize that your husband has been abusive for your 50 years of marriage, I'm going to continue to fight and make sure that at 80 years old, when you finally wake up, you have the absolute right to get the fuck out of that marriage for the remainder of whatever life you have. And I'm going to push and fight to make sure that there is a social safety net to catch you so that you're
Yeah.
not stuck in that marriage because now you're 80, you've never had a job, you don't have a pension, you have no money and nowhere to go because your adult children now think that you're shit, so they're not going to help you. You do what you want to do, trad wife. Don't fuck with me because I'm the person that is fighting to make sure that there is a social safety net to catch your ass when you finally wake up and realize how stupid you've been.
Yeah. Well,
You know, and
and that's
if you want to
and
be
good on you
subservient
for
to your husband, do it.
yeah. Well, and that is the thing. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that, there are just certain things that people do that don't really harm anyone, at least immediately or physically, and that we're not going to agree with or whatever. And just go ahead and let them do it. Fine. If that's what you want to do, go right ahead and do it. But don't expect me to go along with your bullshit, you know?
Right. And
And
I get
I'm sure
pissed.
you can
I
only
get
imagine how I've applied this to other things too.
it. I get pissed when these women vote for people that are going to actively attempt to hurt women and set us for their back because me being able to work, me being able to be married to a woman, me being able to do all of these things
Mhm.
doesn't keep you from not doing them. It doesn't
Exactly.
keep you from baking sourdough and being this trad wife and sewing your own clothes. you know?
Well,
It,
there's I think what I was really getting at there, Sasha, is that there's a lot of people that want to stick their nose into other people's business. And I will say that the Christian evangelicals, uh, generally anyone who's kind of like a religious conservative, they really like to do that shit. And they kind of
there,
feel like they're obligated to make sure that everybody else lives life the way they do. Now, it's the Christians, though. I said religious because I wanted to back off and not necessarily attack Christians. But now that I think about it, I was like, even the most Orthodox Jews, they just keep to themselves.
mm-mm, exactly. So it's the Christians that proselytize. It's
Yeah.
the Christians that are knocking on your door, you know? It I'm not I don't like to knock Jehovah's Witnesses because they've actually done a lot to further First Amendment protections. They're the ones that brought a lot of the initial lawsuits, um, that prevented the government from forcing speech, which is
Mm,
anti-First Amendment, right? You can't make me say the
right.
Pledge of Allegiance because I have freedom of speech. They're the ones that brought that lawsuit, you know?
Right. Right.
So
That's true. Yeah.
I don't knock them hard. When they try and knock on my door and do their missionary thing, I tell them thank you, but no thank you, and I'm quite polite. When
Oh,
the
yeah.
Mormons come and knock on my door, they're just the sweetest things. When
Oh,
I
yeah.
first had my daughter, I was home alone the entire freaking day for weeks on end. I needed adult conversation. Something more than just baby talk to a baby. I needed adult interaction. And
Right.
there was this pair of sweet little Mormon boys. They came every single Tuesday. I made sure I had cookies. I made sure I had lemonade, and they would come in. And we would debate religion. We would talk about the news. And they never once pushed their religion on me. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? When again, single mom, my kids were teenagers. I was in a relatively big house that was just too much for me to deal with. And they would come and knock on the door and, hey, how are you doing? Wouldn't proselytize, wouldn't try to preach their stuff. They would just say, is there anything around the house that we can help you with? Do you need us to take your trash out? They've always been so polite.
Yeah, well, they
Always.
they try to lead or they try to, their method of proselytization is kind of interesting because they do kind of like, I don't know, imbue upon these kids that, they kind of like need to lead by example, be good people, be kind to people, all that type of stuff, be respectful of other people's opinions, those sorts of things. I don't want to give the Mormon church too much credit, but I
Right.
will say that, yeah, I will, I will say that at least their style of proselytizing is not as obnoxious as some others.
Yes. If you are going to try to sway people to your religion, evangelicals take fucking note.
Right.
Learn from the Mormons, learn from the Jehovah's Witnesses. You are polite, you are kind, you offer a helping fucking hand.
Hmm.
The most recent run in that I had with a group of Mormon missionaries, I had just gotten my Subaru, typical lesbian car, but I had just
Right.
gotten my Subaru and I had ordered, those like comical eyelashes that you can put on your car.
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
yeah,
just
yeah.
ordered those for my car. So I'm like out there trying to get them on the headlights, make sure they're even, trying to figure it out. And these sweet boys walk up. I'm sure they're like, what the hell is this crazy lady doing? Like, what's going on? But they saw me kind of, scratching my head, pondering my car. And they came up and said, is there anything that you need help with? Is your car okay? How can we help? They don't know what the hell
Yeah.
I'm doing, but they're offering to help.
Right. Yeah.
It come on,
Yeah, it's
evangelicals,
like if
you
you're
can
gonna
do
do
better.
it, Yeah, if you're gonna do it the right way or follow the Jewish lead, which is just don't do it at all.
Just shut the fuck up. If people are
Right,
interested, they'll come to you. You know,
right. Well, I
um,
mean, Jews are definitely not into proselytizing. In
no,
fact,
you know,
we
it,
almost don't want you to be a part of our club.
it,
Sorry to
the
say.
evangelicals have this jack dick out here, talking shit on women. And we've got Katie Miller. I don't know what the hell religion she is, right? But we've got Katie Miller and Laura Ingraham, who I'm going to lump in with the evangelical sect only because of what they said on Fox News. The irony, right over their heads. They completely missed the fucking irony. So Kate Miller said to Laura Ingraham, feminism in our country was founded to dismantle the family unit. If you look at the rise of feminism in our country, it also correlates to the decline in birth rates. Feminism pushed women into the workplace. Dumbass. You're saying
Oh
this
my
at
God.
fucking work. You're saying this at work, dumbasses.
She's on
How about you
TV
quit your
saying
fucking
this.
job? Yes.
Right.
How about you quit
Oh
your
my
fucking
God.
job, go home and take care of your babies, go cook for your husband, go scrub your baseboards with a fucking toothbrush, and let a man do that job. If that is what you so strongly believe, get your
Right.
toothbrush, scrub the fucking baseboard, and let Fox hire more stupid men. Why not?
Well, yeah, well,
Be
I
like the
mean,
Mormons. Practice what you preach.
that's so true. I have noticed that before. I've always loved seeing these conservative bitches get on TV, and I'm not using a bitch as a pejorative against women. I am just
I
talking
don't take
about
it
these
that way.
women are. Yeah, I was like, these women are just bitches. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, when I'd see them on TV in their, elaborate makeup and their perfectly coiffed hair and, their, fucking luxury
Yep.
outfit that they're in, and they're making millions of dollars, and they're sitting there telling women, "But you should be at home taking care of those babies."
It's
I'm just
giving
like,
Serena Joy. It is giving Serena Joy. Are you fucking kidding me? It's I feel like this whole group of women that preach this shit only watched the first season of Handmaid's Tale. And for them, there was some draw to, I don't have to sleep with my husband. There is a world where some other woman can be subjected to this disgusting man instead of me. I can raise the baby. Other women are going to clean my house. And they like that. They forgot to watch the rest of the show the entire way through because Serena Joy wakes up. Not entirely. She has her moments of stupidity all throughout the show, but she wakes up and she realizes that she is an intelligent, college educated woman who had sold many, many books before she walked herself into this jail of silence and subservience.
mm,
These women only watched the fucking trailer. They don't
yeah.
realize just how bad it can get, and that's what they're promoting.
Well, it is interesting to be self-destructive in that way, but humans do that type of shit. So I mean, just broadening it out just on humanity in general, people can be very
Yeah,
self-destructive, and this is yet another example of that.
yeah, you know? Um, moving on, Trump's DOJ is pushing to free a Russian informant. This was another little snippet that slipped its way through the news this week.
Yeah,
Way
this
back
one I
when,
hadn't heard of.
yep, because it's not interesting to MAGA, right? Alexander Smirnov was the FBI informant that was dealing with the FBI, dealing with the DOJ, that was helping with trying to get Biden impeached, right? He ended up getting convicted of lying to the FBI about all of this Biden shit, right? Now, Trump's DOJ, because we've got a change of authority here, Trump's
Right.
DOJ is now filing a motion in line with Alexander's defense lawyers so that he can be released from jail during the course of his appeal. Okay. When 5 years ago, maybe, the DOJ was arguing that this guy shouldn't even be out on bond because he's a flight risk. Now, Trump's DOJ is saying that because he has a chronic eye disease, he shouldn't be in jail, even though he's been convicted, because his case is on appeal. What the fuck? So either
Right.
they want to kill him like they did Epstein, or they want him to run away so that he just gets off his punishment. Probably because he's going to rat someone out. He is going to
Yeah.
rat someone out in the Trump administration that paid him off to tell these lies to the FBI. I think at this point, some state police department needs to figure out how they can come in and snatch him. That way we can keep him
Yeah.
here in the US. I'm waiting for the pardon.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Trump to
I
pardon
mean,
him.
yeah, the whole thing certainly sounds fishy to me. I mean, they're first with Trump, sometimes I do wonder how much of this shit he does just because he knows it's going to piss off certain people. But and that it's not even really any deeper than that. Uh but this one sounds pretty fishy. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I really just didn't know a lot about it. I need to look into it more, but I did very quick check on this one, and yeah, does
hmm
doesn't sound on the up and up.
Nope. So let's go to the Iran war because this is the giant chunk of what's going on right now. Um,
Right.
at this moment, 100,000 million billion. All right. At this moment, the Iran war has cost us 28,792,370,000, and it just clicked up to $400,000. There is a tracker that is like adding all this, right? And it's just constantly running. Their estimate is that per second, the Iran war is costing us $11,574 per second. Per hour is 41,666,667. When I saw that number yesterday, I was like, where's all the QAnon folks? That middle number is 666. Don't you all have some weird hang up on numerology and 666 and the number 7 and Jesus and blah, 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 blah. Right?
I was gonna say
But
you're talking to the wrong guy about that shit.
I'm just putting this out there to the general audience. QAnon has a numbers obsession. The fact that 666 is in the middle cracked me the fuck up. You know, um, they're asking for 200 billion more dollars for this Iran war, which I don't understand. Right? I'm gonna play a little stupid here based on Trump's Truth Social. On March 7th at 1:05 p.m., he said, "We don't need the UK's help. We've already won it." On March 14th at 7:04
Yeah.
a.m., he said they destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability, but they can still attack the Strait of Hormuz no matter how badly defeated they are, and suggested that other countries help to secure the strait.
Mhm.
7 days prior, you said we won. Winning a war means that your opponent is incapable of further defense or attack. Just so people out there understand.
Which is not the case.
Not the case. On March 14th at 11:58 a.m., he said that we beat and completely decimated Iran, both militarily and economically and in every other way. But Iran is still protecting the strait, and the U.S. needs help, and the world should help. Then we didn't completely defeat them, you giant
No.
dumb fuck. I at this point, I think he's constipated and the shit's going to his brain. I think that's what it is. He reversed his diarrhea, so he's no longer shitting on Fox and Friends couch. He's no longer shitting and being loud with his farts during his press conferences. And now he is literally filled to the brim with shit. And that's why he is so confused and stupid. That's
You
it.
still
That's
only
all I got.
you just still so
But that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, So, okay. I'm not sure
And
what
we're
I
not
have to
done.
say
Hold on.
about this.
Let me let me finish the timeline because we're still not done.
Oh,
He
yeah, yeah,
continues
yeah,
to
yeah.
he
Yeah, there
continues
was more. I was
on
wondering if you were going to
yeah
continue. Yeah.
on March 17th at 8:18 a.m. He complained that NATO isn't helping us. NATO is not helping us. He says that Iran's military is decimated. They have no navy, no air force. Their anti-aircraft and radar is gone, and their leaders at every level are gone. But they still need help. NATO is not helping us. We've destroyed all their leadership. They have no more military, but we still need help. I don't know why. On the 18th at 7:05 p.m., he was mad at Israel for attacking the South Pars gas field. This gets a little confusing. This like
Okay.
solidifies the shit is in his brain. He
Yeah.
is filling to the brim with shit. Rubio or Vance need to manually disimpact this man, and maybe the oxygen can now go back to his brain and he can be a little demented instead of 100% demented, right? So
Oh yeah, the
let's see
anger
if I
at
can explain
Israel.
this.
I mean, that I was like, oh my god. I have something to say about this, but yeah, go ahead.
But he was mad at Israel because Israel attacked the South Pars gas field in
Hmm.
Iran.
Yep.
Iran retaliated, and instead of attacking Israel back, Iran turned and attacked Qatar.
Yeah.
Okay? Trump is saying Qatar's totally innocent. Leave Qatar alone. Don't fuck with Qatar, right? And then she said, Iran, if you attack Qatar again, we're going to bomb the South Pars gas field. He just got
Uh-huh.
mad at Israel for attacking that, for doing that. This is toddlers who get mad because somebody hit their friend. So they get mad at the person who hit their friend and they turn around and beat up their friend themselves. Or the big sister that says, you can't pick on my little brother and proceeds to pick on the little brother because nobody else is going to do that but me. What the
Well,
fuck?
okay, I have got to go ahead and just jump right in here and say before,
Yeah,
if you want to continue the timeline, that's fine.
go.
But I do have to say this. Okay. So the Iran war has just been kind of like a weird thing for me. Um, Initially, I was against it. I did want to be supportive in some sort of ways, but I had to really think about exactly what I thought was the best plan of attack. Um, I think that, yeah, the US probably has some interest in dealing a blow to the Iranian government, but Israel has a much more vested interest in what's going on over there than the United States does, in the sense of plain survival. Um, and I think that I would have been more supportive of this war if it was entirely led by Israel and the United States just sold them weapons in order to keep them replenished with what they were trying to do. See, the problem here is that we're starting to see the difference in motivation between Israel and the United States. And I think as this goes on, we're going to see more and more of it, and it's going to make us go farther and farther apart. Because Israel's is about plain survival. The United States is all about money. And so those things are going to be in complete conflict with each other at some point. And I think that we're starting to see the chink in the armor, so to speak, here. You
Mhm.
know, so yeah, of course he's mad because he wanted that to be something that the US called to do, that the US led to do. He didn't like the fact that Israel was doing something based on its own interests. So he thinks he's totally in charge of this war. And it's like, no, the people that have the most vested interest in this is Israel. And they are good allies in the Middle East. And so I'm all about helping them. That is totally fine. But as far as like direct US involvement in a war, no, this should have never happened. Should have never happened. And like I said, I mean, we're seeing that the Israel and the United States obviously have two completely different um end goals in mind.
It I have never cared to really dig into what's happening with Israel. I think a lot of it is linked to religion. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's all stupid. Fuck you. Like, you've got beef with people because of a fairy tale? Fuck you. That's just
Nah,
stupid.
it's not only about religion. I mean, that is certainly a component of it, and anyone that says otherwise is kind of an idiot. But that's just a component of it. I mean, it really does have to do with land, who lived there first, all that type of stuff, and that type of historical stuff. So and there's a history beyond the Bible for this stuff, and so I mean I can understand why the people there actually do care, and that it's beyond religion for them. It is like a matter of survival. But because the Jews in the area have always been under pretty much attack from everybody. So you
I
know
this week I'm going to dig into it because my from what I know, which again is not extensive, and I'm the first person to admit that. And if I
Mhm.
am wrong in what I'm saying right now, I will absolutely correct it next week because unlike Trump and the greater majority of the Republican Party, I believe in accountability and correcting errors when you've made them. Um, I have the feeling that Israel is akin to that irritating kid that picks fights and is unable to really defend themselves, so they cry foul, right? Um, if it's about land, and I get it, civilization started in that whole area, I get it. But if it was really about borders of countries and things like that, then we would see Qatar always in a war because they're trying to expand their borders. We would see Iraq always in a war because they're trying to expand their borders or reclaim land that was theirs 100,000 years ago and they want it now, you know? But we don't see that. And
Well, they're
Netanyahu has been baiting hold on, Netanyahu has been baiting US presidents to drag them into this war and getting them to fight battles for him because he knows he can't do it on his own for years. Trump was just the idiot that fell for it. That's it.
yeah, I mean, maybe that's true of Netanyahu, because I mean, I'm not exactly like a gigantic fan of his, but I don't know. No, I mean, like it goes back to where I said that um, religion is a component. And so, no, they do cry foul a lot, but you do have to remember that they are the minority population in the area, but they have also been there just as long as everybody else has been. And so that minority population has been under constant attack now in more recent centuries, because this shit's old, but in more recent centuries, Islam became a huge threat because that became the major religion of the area. And there's this tiny group of people called Jews that were living there.
Well, maybe they
And
should
they
start
weren't,
proselytizing. a la the Mormons, and grow their group.
We don't do that though. That's not our thing.
You
And,
can't be isolationists and then cry that you're not the majority religion.
no, they're not isolationists and they're not crying about not being the majority religion. The thing is they are a minority group there. And I'm really surprised that, people on the left aren't more upset about the fact that this minority group is under constant attack from the majority in that region. I mean, that
Because
is what's going on
so
there.
I have not heard, right, on media and social media, I have not heard, and it could be out there, Israel being attacked by Iran, Israel being attacked by, I don't know, Iraq or Qatar or anything like that. What we have heard is Netanyahu for decades saying, Iran is 2 weeks away from nuclear power. Iran is 2 weeks away from nuclear power. Iran is 2 weeks away from nuclear power, trying to draw us into a war. Obama established the nuclear agreement with Iran. You're not going to have nuclear weapons. We're going to have oversight, blah, blah, blah. And Trump, in his first term, ripped that to shreds, and now he's saying that they have nuclear power, even though Tulsi Gabbard and Trump back in June or July said that we decimated their nuclear power
Right.
and they wouldn't have had it if he hadn't have ripped up the fucking agreement. All
Right.
of this, our whole involvement in this war, is because Trump is stupid and a racist and wants Netanyahu to like him. That's it. Trump ripped up the nuclear agreement because he didn't like that a black
Yeah.
president had secured this agreement. And now he just wants to go to war and he wants to enrich his buddies because he has now said, okay, Iran, gas prices are really high. Nobody likes me in my country. I'm going to get impeached. Go ahead and sell your gas that you have that we've tried to keep at bay and stuck in the ocean,
Right.
even though
Well,
the war is
I
fucking done. Like, what the
look,
fuck? He's an idiot.
I will say this. Remove Trump, remove Netanyahu from the situation because they have not been the predominant figures in the long history of this. They're just a blip on the radar and they've disappeared already. I mean, they're tiny little players in the grand scheme of things. And I will say Iran has attacked Israel quite often, but people forget that they don't attack Israel directly. They do it through Hamas and they do it through Hezbollah. And so that happens all the time. So, yeah, I mean, I can see why Israel has a problem with Iran
It,
because Iran
it's
is
not our
a
problem.
right. But no, I said
It's not our problem.
I can understand why Israel has a problem with Iran. I'm not talking about our
It
problem. Like I said, I'm removing the politics from it because the thing is you have to remember that Iran is run by a bunch of right wing Muslims. Muslims are a proselytizing type of religion, just like Christianity, which is why I like to kind of group them together and it makes everybody like all mad at me when I do that. But, but it's true. So Islam, just like Christianity, ultimately wants to defeat all other religions. The Jews have always been a thorn in their fucking side because they aren't Muslim.
it I don't know. Whatever is going on, presidents before Trump have either supported by giving weapons, right? Like, we're not going
Mhm.
to get involved in your shit, but I'll give you weapons. Um,
Oh, that's all I would support now. That's all I
it
would support. Give them weapons, that's fine.
At this point, I am sick of Israel. Clearly, I've been sick of Trump for quite a while. It's not even at this point. It the caucasity of Trump and this administration to demand
The
$200
caucasity.
billion because that's
Yeah,
what it is.
I
$200
love
billion.
that so funny.
If we, because he wants Congress to pull this money out of their asses, right?
Mhm.
If we were going to pull $200 billion out of our asses as a collective country to fund this war that nobody wants, that is illegal, we could give every American home $300 to $400 to help them pay for the energy cost for their house. Every
Mhm.
American home would get that. We could pay for school lunches for every child for over 10 years with $200 billion. We could build 400,000 to over 1 million 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes.
Right.
We could massively increase the supply of homes in this country with $200 billion and significantly decrease the housing cost, right?
Well, so
We could give,
that
hold on,
that's oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
we got two more things on this list of things that we could do for $200 billion. We could
Right.
give 4.8 to 7.3 million people health insurance for the next 6 to 10 years.
Right.
So all of those people that got kicked off of their health insurance this year, with that $200 billion that we're supposed to magically pull out of our ass, we can make sure that they are insured for the next 6 to 10 years. No more fighting about
Right.
it. No more fighting about it. It will be there as a stopgap while we figure
Mhm.
out what to do with health insurance, right? We could
Right.
build 4,000 schools. That's what we can do with $200 billion. But they want to use it to get more weapons so that we could blow up $2,000 drones with $2 million bombs because
Right.
they're idiots and they don't know how to do this.
Well, and so that's the thing that you have to understand about me. It's like it is an America first thing. Like I said, I mean, my sympathies are towards Israel in the sense that I do believe that they are pretty much the people who are ultimately getting hit by all sides. But but that doesn't mean that I think that the United States needs to go to war for Israel. Now, bigger picture, the United States is not going to war for Israel. That's not what's happening here whatsoever. I mean, the United States only does
No,
stuff for its own interests, period. But
it,
that's why I say I would have supported because Israel is an important ally in that area because they are way more friendlier to us than the other countries there are. Um, but at the same time, it's like, but I have to think of America first. And that's why I said, I was like, okay, maybe we could have sold them weapons because at least that's pumping money into our economy, you know? And but also helping out a strategic ally without sending our people to die.
and we are selling weapons. We are.
Yeah.
We are. Rubio and Trump made up some fucking emergency to circumvent Congress again. And here's the problem: Congress lost their balls.
Oh yeah.
Congress is
Yeah. Long time
effectively the
ago.
cuckold husband.
Yeah.
Congress is the cuckold husband of, this, what's it called, a thruple? So our national bowels are a thruple. We've got Congress, we've got the executive branch, and we've got the judicial branch. Congress is the cuckold husband of this thruple. Right now, SCOTUS and Trump are going at it, and Congress is stuck in the corner, not allowed to play.
Oh
Right?
no, they're
So,
just fumbling themselves.
yeah, that's what's going on with our country. Our country is a perverted thruple. It's a bad
Yeah.
porn, is what it is. Our
Yeah.
country
Yeah.
leadership
No
and
shit.
the way that we are established is a bad porn story. Um, Trump and Rubio, back to where I was going, Trump and Rubio circumventing Congress, they're selling $23 billion worth of weapons to the Middle East. We lifted the sanctions on however billion gallons or barrels of oil Iran has in the ocean. so that Iran can make money to continue bombing everybody in the Middle East. What the
Yeah.
fuck? It it is very clear that Trump started this war because, as he said of Obama, when Obama's numbers started to decline in his second term, watch, he's going to start a war in the Middle East to improve his numbers. That's why Trump did this. Trump is
Right.
sending American children, because that's what they are. A lot of these kids are 18, 19, 20 years old. You're still a kid. Your frontal lobes are not developed. I don't care how much of a
Mhm.
man you think you are or how grown you think you are. Trump is sending American children now to die in Iran because people don't like him anymore.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
this war is about.
I think that that is certainly a component. I mean, I think there's more to it because you know you have to get other people to go along with it. But
But he didn't
I
though because he circumvented
oh, I'm
Congress.
talking about like people within his administration and stuff like that. I mean,
Of
that's what I'm
course they're
talking
going
about.
along with it.
Right,
Rubio
but I'm
wants
just
Trump
saying
to give him the nod for
there's all the
2028.
there's all the back and forth and everything like that and the internal politics that goes on even within an
It
administration. And so that's all I'm saying, that it's not that deep. It's just saying that there's probably more to it than just his ego, but that is definitely a big part. That's all I'm
it
saying. It's not that
Rubio
deep.
Rubio right now is the Republican darling for 2028.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of conservative money people, a lot of conservative donors who are already saying, fuck whoever Trump ends up backing, because he's clearly not backing Vance. So they're pulling their money from Vance. They're prepping to put it into Rubio for 2028.
Mhm.
Rubio is going to give in to Trump so that Trump doesn't bash him for that 2028 run.
Mhm.
And Vance is the kid in the playpen at this point because Trump has effectively forgotten about him. And that's what
Oh
this is
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah, for sure.
about.
Well,
American troops
but
are going to die. 13 already have because nobody likes Trump and because Rubio wants to be president.
I think that what has been sadly entertaining to me, but it has caused me to chuckle so many, many times, even though a war is going on. And it is the fact that he used this as his distraction that he wanted to have. And I am backing up what you're saying. I do think that that is a component
Hmm.
of this, that it's a distraction.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly. And he wants people to
and
forget about the Epstein files.
right.
I haven't forgotten.
Um,
Trump is a rapist.
but But what he for but here's the thing, the Iran war is wildly unpopular among MAGA.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
And
That was
so
one of the final nails.
well, but so here so it's obviously not helping those numbers. And probably not gonna be much help to Marco Rubio in the end. But I will say that what Trump's huge miscalculation, gigantic miscalculation. I can't believe that he missed this and that his team missed this, is how anti Semitic his fans were and are.
Hmm.
So, by teaming up with Israel and making this a war about Israel and the United States versus Iran, of course, he's never going to get most of his
It,
supporters to support him because they are such anti Semitic assholes. And they
yeah,
do not like Jews. They do not like Jews. Trust me, I know this for a fucking fact. They do
it,
not like us.
here's the thing. When Trump first was inaugurated in 2025, he put out a slew of executive orders that barred college kids from protesting Israel as it related to Palestine. And he was calling the left anti Semitic. These actions weren't anti Semitic. These actions were anti-genocide. Nobody is hating Jews because they're Jews. Everybody was hating Netanyahu because Netanyahu
Right.
is a murderer. Now, he missed the point, like you said, that MAGA is anti Semitic, not because they're killing Palestinians, but
No,
because they're Jews. That's why
you
they
got
are
it.
anti Semitic.
You got it.
All of this flew over his head. Why? Because he is a seventh grade hormonal little girl who thinks everything is about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it
He
boils down
totally
to.
they totally, his team and him totally missed the mark on this. If they wanted some distraction, they should have picked something else,
Yep.
because I mean, this is the stupidest fucking thing. Because I
Yep.
mean, I'm sorry, I have heard it my whole life about how evil Jews are. I mean, I still get questions when people ask me like what church I go to. I'm like, I don't go to a fucking church. I go to a synagogue. And, it's like, so I'll still get these questions. Oh my God, like just a couple months I got this question. Well, how do you plan on being saved, Chris?
Oh, God. What is there to save you from? What is it? Their imaginary hell? They need to worry
I
about
mean,
themselves.
well, Jews
Worry
don't
about
even believe in
yourself.
hell. Jews don't
I
even believe in
know.
hell. So you're barking up the wrong tree right there anyway.
It,
Or barking up the wrong tree there. It's like, what the fuck?
mhm.
So
They,
I mean, I know this, and it's always these conservatives who do this shit.
yep,
I mean, there's some anti-Semitism on the left, I think, but it's not nearly as extreme as it is on the right. I mean, the stuff that I've seen on the right, I mean, just as a Jewish person who has a fairly large following on X, the shit that I get from Christians, right-wing Christians, is like
yep.
almost on a daily basis, whereas people from the left rarely attack me over my views, or rarely ever attack me for being Jewish.
Like I said, I think that the large majority of the left doesn't hate on Israel because they're Jews. They hate
Right.
on
It's because
Israel
the
because
way
of
Israel's
Netanyahu, because
behaved.
of
Yeah.
Palestine. Yes,
Right.
it's the behavior that we are hating
Hmm.
on. It's not that you're Jewish. You know, I don't care. Do whatever religion you want. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, you don't preach at me. Cool. Well, cool. You don't preach at me. You don't tell me that I need to be saved from your imaginary villain. Because Satan is not the villain in my book. Not that I
We
have a
don't
book,
believe in
but
Satan
Satan's not the
either.
villain. But he's not the villain. Right? Like you've got all these Christians that are like, "Oh my God, Satan, Satan! Oh my God, I cheated on my husband. It's because Satan tempted me." No, Karen, it's because you wanted somebody else's wee wee, and there ain't nothing wrong with wanting somebody else's wee wee, Karen. You failed to communicate the lack of sexual intimacy and sexual satisfaction in the relationship with your husband. Leave Satan out of it. Unless Satan was the one giving you the woo wee, leave him out of it. But they don't get that.
No,
They don't get
no,
that. Maybe,
does not occur to them. Yeah, for
maybe,
sure.
maybe if the law doesn't work with me, I can at least make you laugh. Maybe I can do stand-up comedy.
Right? No, no shit. I
Maybe if the
mean,
law doesn't
it's
work
just
out, I could
it's
do some stand-up comedy.
oh, oh my god, it's just like what you should do. Oh, whoops. What you should do is get up on stage and just have me sit on a stool, and I'll just sit there and laugh the whole time.
At least that way I'll feel good if I flop with the audience.
Right? Oh no, but
So,
I just think the miscalculation is like so funny because I mean the wild theories that these people have about Jewish people. And see, the thing is too, I guess maybe why it's like a little weird with Jews because it's not just a religion, it's also an ethnicity.
And
So,
and
and
I think that's why.
I think the ethnicity part is what kills the little white supremacists because we're not really quite white.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you're from an area where people are typically brown, you
Right.
know? Um, I think it also confuses MAGA because they're, speaking as an umbrella term, they're not necessarily the brightest. So they don't understand that it is an ethnicity and it is a religion. I don't think they understand that. They can't differentiate the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't get
Yeah.
that. But
All I know
let's end
is that
this.
I just want to announce to everyone I did get my world domination card from the Jewish Central Committee. And so I will be haunting you in your dreams.
Oh my lord, you just sent QAnon crazy. So I do want to end. I do want to end with this little bit. While Trump and his cronies berate blue states for this welfare fraud that they're making a lot of allegations. I don't see headway being made into investigation. I see right wing influencers, going at 6 a.m. before daycares are open, knocking on the door and saying, "Oh, look, the daycare is closed. It must be fraud." No, Jack Dick, ain't nobody at work yet. Try going at 3 o'clock in
Right.
the afternoon, stupid. And don't be surprised when they don't let you in because there's no kids there. As far as the Epstein files go, right-wing pedophiles. Please don't let them into daycares. Like, let's think this through. But anyways, they are berating every blue state and Democrats as a whole for committing widespread fraud. The Cato Institute. The Cato Institute is a right-wing think tank. They're the
Yeah, I'm
ones
very
that
familiar with
busted
them.
this story. They're the ones that busted this story. They came out and said that Trump and Rubio have stolen so far more than $1.3 billion from people that are sending in applications for work visas. They're sending all these immigration applications along with the outrageous payments, and they're not processing any of them. So
So interesting
while
little
they're in
thing about the
fraud, supposedly,
well, just
go
the
ahead.
interesting thing about the Cato Institute to give the audience a little bit of context here. I am a member of the organization, actually. And the Cato Institute is actually a libertarian organization. So it doesn't
You got to
surprise
talk to
me
Google.
that, well, Cato comes out, has steered more right recently. But back in the early
Mhm.
2000s, when I really first started supporting them, I mean, I still like getting their publications and stuff because they do have some interesting stuff that they put out that I think is worthwhile for anyone to read. Um, but back in the early 2000s, when I started supporting them, they were very much libertarian, very much libertarian. They've just drifted more right.
Okay. So they're the ones that came out with this story. You know,
Mhm.
there is no hyperbole anymore when it comes to the right. Every accusation is a confession. Point blank, period.
Mhm.
Trump and his family alone have made over $4 billion in this term by itself. They have made over $4 billion. In 2025, it was somewhere between 1.3 to over 3 billion. At this point, it's around $4 billion. Jimmy Carter had to sell his fucking peanut farm
Right.
because there was concern that having a peanut farm would sway some of his, foreign policy mandates and things like that. What the fuck? Like, I don't know. I mean, even the Bushes, those Bushes, right? They did not directly profit from the wars that they started.
No.
You know, there was scandal, allegation that they did these wars to help their oil friends, blah, blah, blah. But their bank accounts never went up.
Right.
Biden, everybody wants to say on the right that Biden was making money. He was doing all these side deals, that there was foreign influence over there, that all this shit, right? The only increase in wealth that Biden got, aside from him and his wife's job, right, or increased valuation for his properties, because everybody's property went up in value.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, you have Trump and Rubio, who are actively stealing so far $1.3 billion from visa applications that they have zero intention of processing, because the countries that these applications are coming from are on Trump's blocked list. But they are still letting these people send money here. And then the Trump family has conveniently made $4 billion so far.
Well,
What the
you
fuck?
know, that's obviously all just, you know, a coincidence.
Of course, it's a coincidence, right? And daycares aren't open at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. So, of course, that's fraud, because heaven fucking
Well,
forbid
of
should
course.
a Somali daycare worker get to sleep in his bed at home, shit in his toilet before he comes to work, and maybe have some breakfast. What the
That's ask.
fuck?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man.
I should have
I
named this
just
podcast "What the Fuck" with as many
yeah,
times
I
as I say
know
that here.
because I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, I don't even know what to fucking say. It's like
Mm-mm.
we've got like I don't know. From my point of view, we've got half the population's caught up way too much in social justice stuff to think beyond that. And not saying that those things aren't important, they are, but just saying that, you know, you need to have a little bit more broader view of the world. But the other thing is, and we've got this brain dead side of our population who is so caught up in being fucking brain dead. So I don't know. It's like I just don't see how we get ourselves out of this, because it seems like really when it gets down to it, the only time we care about this is when it's the other guy doing it. But if it's our guy doing it, we don't give a shit.
You know how we dig ourselves out of this as a country? You unredact the fucking Epstein files. You start
Yeah.
prosecuting based on the Epstein
Yeah.
files. You tear the whole fucking system apart. And every time there is corruption, you act on it. That's how you fix this country. You hold
Right.
people's feet to the fire and demand accountability. But apparently, that's just a big word that people like to throw around, and they don't really like to act on it.
Yeah.
Accountability is just a pretty fancy word. And
Yeah.
that's that. So, thank you for hanging out with us this week, guys.
So anyway, guys, yeah, welcome to hell.
Welcome to hell. We all died during COVID. This is where we're at. So,
Yeah.
evangelicals, you're in hell with us. Stop proselytizing. Mormons, I love you because you're so polite. Jehovah's Witnesses, thank you for just saying have a great day when I tell you thank you, but no thank you. Evangelicals,
Right.
learn from them. There we go.
Right. There we go.
It was great hanging out with you folks.
The synopsis.
It was great hanging out with you folks. We will see you again next week. I'm trying to drum up a few guest co-hosts to come in, and we'll start doing some more midweek episodes. Have a great one, and we will see you next week.
All right, take care, guys.
If you want a second opinion or just something to rage about, hit that button and subscribe. This has been Political Malpractice.